Hello everyone, you are watching series of success story of Indian achievers, and now we have Mr. Rohit, CEO and founder, Finance Speed.
Indian Achievers Forum is driven by a full-fledged advisory board. The board consists of experienced personalities who have excelled in their respective careers. Together, the forum organizes conferences, events, workshops, exhibitions, trade shows and B2B initiatives in India as well as abroad. Where there is passion, there is achievement. And where there is achievement, there is Indian Achievers Forum.
Hello sir,
Hi Alka, how are you? Hi.
I'm good, you tell. So tell us about
Great.
yourself
So,
first.
yeah. So Alka, I think before I talk about myself, the concept of finance peer, right? The whole aspect is close to our heart, not only to me but also my other co-founders. So finance
Mm-hmm.
peer is trying to bridge the access to education issue. So
Okay,
during our times, even when we were in the lower middle class segment a decade ago, right? The idea is we desire to have quality education, but quality education also comes at such some price, right? And to get
right.
that price and avail the education, you need to have some financial support as well. So this is where
Definitely.
finance peer comes into picture. So we are trying to
Mm-hmm.
resolve the access to quality education issue. So what
Mm-hmm.
we do is we allow the parents to pay fees in a zero interest, zero cost EMI manner. And on behalf of
Wow.
the parents, we pay the full year fees to the institution on day one.
Mm-hmm.
So education institution is also happy because they're receiving their full year fees on day one. And parents are getting a zero cost, zero interest EMI manner. So it's easier for the parents so that they have a reduced fee burden. So that is what
Okay.
we have started with. With respect to me, I came in from a banking background. So I passed out from IIT Bombay. I did my
Okay.
bachelor's, master's there. Then I went
Mm-hmm.
to DBS Bank in Singapore. I used to work in the credit and liquidity risk space for nearly 4 years odd. Then I went to Stanford after that. I started a healthcare firm. In 1 year's time, we sold it off to a company called LSV in UK. And this is my second stint. So I started a firm, Finance Peer, which is into my space. I came back in India, and that's the time I started Finance Peer.
Okay, so banker to lots of things, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So from
So how
engineer
this
to
I
banker, from banker to entrepreneur.
oh my God, so long journey.
Yeah.
So how this idea came in your mind of starting this something really different?
So there are actually two things that happened. When I started Finance Peer in the initial stages, it was more into an unsecured lending
Mm-hmm.
piece, right? So we had
Okay.
credit and technology expertise. All four co-founders had credit and technology expertise. So when I came back in India, what I realized is I was looking out for education loan in Stanford program, and I
Mm-hmm.
was an NRI. So when I came in India,
Okay.
I had bank balances more than the loan that I was requesting from a bank in India, one of the PSU banks,
Okay.
and the bank was not
Mm-hmm.
able to underwrite me because my bank accounts were in Singapore, so it had enough
Mm-hmm.
balances. But that is how the system works, right? So I studied
Exactly.
for around 20 plus years in India, but because I
Mm-hmm.
was earning in a country in Singapore, I was willing
Mm-hmm.
to move my funds from Singapore to India, but the bank was not able to underwrite me. So I understood
Okay.
there's huge gap in the credit portion in India in terms of digital lending. So
Mm-hmm.
initially, Finance Peer, when I started, it was more into digital lending. So I built a technology platform which could underwrite any citizen in the country, be it a Panwala to a NRI individual as well, right? Or higher net
Correct.
individual or self-employed businessman. I
Mm-hmm.
started with that. And in my journey, what I saw to my surprise was we got a lot of education loan requests. Initially, I thought this must be requests from higher education portfolio. But when we deep dive, these were people from K-12, kindergarten to 12th. Parents were
Okay.
paying more than a lakh fees in the K-12 segment. So at my
Definitely.
time, the education fees were not that high, but now I realize the quality of education has also improved drastically. and
Mm-hmm.
parents they want to take interest based loans, and they want to put their kids into such education. So this immediately stuck to our hearts, all four of us. It was very close to us because we went through that process. Luckily, we went through scholarships, and I could get through some premier institutions. But people who could not get scholarships could not study in the institution that they wanted to. So immediately what we did, we pivoted the model. We understood that the requirement is huge in the education segment. So from the entire unsecured portfolio, we only focused on education institutions. And that's where we started understanding this need of parents, right, where they need to have reduced fee payment burden, but their willingness to put their kids into a quality system is quite high. So
Mm-hmm.
we enter into that portfolio. We also spoke to a lot of education institutions across the country. We understood, did a market survey, market research, and we understood the willingness of the institution also to have such a model accepted. So that's what we
Okay.
did. We entered into that specific market. The schools were happy, the parents were happy to have such a financial access system for themselves. And today we are working with, in the last 9 months, we have onboarded 1,800 institutions across the
Oh,
country.
that's great.
So, which has best of the brands. So, that is how it has been accepted after that.
Right. So your idea is really very different and very unique. So what are the challenges you faced?
Lots of challenges to be truthful. I mean, one, first of all, being an entrepreneur, whether the idea is educational or a fee financing, just a
Mm-hmm.
finance segment idea. Right? An entrepreneur, the initial idea is not widely accepted by a lot of
Hmm.
stakeholders, by
Exactly.
investors, and so the first 2 years for us were extremely difficult to make this concept, to go out in the market and make people understand how this works. It is true that this could be operated, for us to have lending partnerships in the market with large
Mm-hmm.
NBFCs and banks. The first year, we always faced a chicken egg issue. What do I mean
Mm-hmm.
by that is, until you show a portfolio, you don't get backing,
Mm-hmm.
either from investors
Exactly.
or a lending partners. So we heavily relied on individual lenders through our NBFC P2P, and that's where we got a lending portfolio. And after we established a portfolio, today we have good backing in terms of lending partnership, good backing in terms of funding. But first year, I would say there were no equity funds, so it was a
Mm-hmm.
cash contribution, and we didn't have good lending partnerships. So to give credit to the education world, the demand was there, but the supply, we struggled to get the supply in the first year. Right? So that was the two major struggles that we had. But apart from that, yeah, being an entrepreneur also, there is a huge difference of how the market accepts you in the initial stages. So now that we have
Right.
crossed that stage, it's much easier. But the first 2 years were extremely difficult.
That's great. Now, what are your future plans?
Future friends, Alka, I'll say we want to that we have already stepped a foot in the education ecosystem. What we are
Mm-hmm.
looking at ourselves is in the education ecosystem, especially in most developing nations, not just India. We want to become their entire financial partner as well as their entire IT
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure partner. So all the technology systems in the education
Mm-hmm.
ecosystem from a B2B perspective and the financial ecosystem is what we want to look at Finance Peer as. So you go at a school, the school can purely
Mm-hmm.
focus on educating the child, right? So that's their core. We focus on entire financial aspect. We focus on digitizing the entire education for that particular university or schools. So our vision is in India and abroad in other developing nations, we become the main partner for digitizing the entire education
Mm-hmm.
system as well as managing the entire finances for the education system.
Okay. That's great. So, role of Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign in your organization business path.
Yes, I mean that has always been big. So even today, I would say all our partners, all our stakeholders, not only from the demand front but from the supply front, is within the country itself. So we have developed a lot of products in the technology background, like the academic resource planning, like the learning management system, like gamified teaching, gamified mathematics, gamified science, like teaching laboratory work through online courses. All of this has been developed in house in India, right? So we have
Okay.
focused a lot on not only developing but even getting the technology to a global scale, right? So our technology
Mm-hmm.
is developed in India. It's being
Mm-hmm.
delivered in India, in UAE markets, in Sri Lankan markets, in Indonesian markets today.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
where it has been developed in India and being used in India. So we haven't really had systems developed outside the country. All the content development, the learning management system, the tech ERP, ARP systems, the loan operating system, the loan management system, the entire tech base is entirely 100% developed in our country, and it's being
Okay.
utilized by sources in the country and sources outside the country both.
That's great. So, what do you have to say on winning Indian Achievers Award?
I would say it was a great honor. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
truly, firstly, I would like to thank you all for identifying us because it's a very difficult process, first of all. So it's not only about us winning the award, but it's about you also achieving the right talent across where the impact is being created. So I firstly would like to thank you for having us as part of this award. And secondly, I really feel honored not only because of receiving the award, because the impact that is being created in the market, wherein we have
Mm-hmm.
so far it's more than 20,000 children that we have actually educated and pushed them into a quality education system. This year, it's more than 9 lakh kids that we are pushing into the education system. So helping so many kids is a great thing. And when you identify
Mm-hmm.
that, it helps us to reach out to a larger audience and even help a larger set of students here. So firstly, thank you and for creating and helping us in the larger impact creation agenda here.
Great. So, tell us about your social contribution.
This actually social contribution I have been doing in multiple fields.
Mm-hmm.
Education is largely one of them. So I, along with a few of my directors, we run a school back in Noida as well, where we
Okay.
teach free of cost. So we have a school
Wow.
there. I along with Mr. Vivek Oberoi, right? So we also have girl child education. So we teach a lot
Mm-hmm.
of girls who are there without parents, and we also teach and we raise funds for them. So it's free of cost education to them. So we have been contributing a lot in the education segment. Recently, in the COVID phase, even though our company is so called a startup, but a lot of startups have shut down. People are saying 80 to 90% startups suffered. But in this COVID phase, we have helped more than 5,000 migrant workers, daily wage
Mm-hmm.
workers, on completely for 2 months with their wage. We have paid them directly into their bank account on a daily basis
Mm-hmm.
because we had lots of some
Wow.
of the daily were from Ola cab drivers, Uber cab drivers, some of them auto
Mm-hmm.
drivers, right? Some of them housekeeping servants. Right? We have helped them when they have lost jobs. For 2 months, we continuously helped them till the time that they got back into their work. So, but that's something that we did during the COVID because we had access to a lot of HNIs and we ourselves lend a lot in this segment. So we have helped
That's
them,
great.
and apart from that, in the education, we have been doing that for years. We will continue to do so. So today also
Mm-hmm.
we have lent to a lot of, we raise a lot of CSR funds, and we also
Okay.
lend to parents who do not have good income backgrounds. We try to push them
Mm-hmm.
into a college, and if there's an accidental death of a parent, we sponsor the kid for 5 years free of cost.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we also insure kids today free of cost. So if you are taking the
That's
risk of
nice.
putting your kid into a good quality education, and something
Mm-hmm.
happens to you, then we will be there by your kid. So that's something that we will do in the
Really,
education field.
really great. So, any message to the new generation who wish to be an entrepreneur like you?
I would clear message would be there is no right or wrong time. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to do it today. So most of the
Okay.
entrepreneurs at their first point when they want to start, they think of starting in an ideal stage when they have established a good family, they have established good bank balance, they have some experience. There are a lot of things that they want to achieve. I would say there is no such right time. For all the entrepreneurs, just follow your heart, follow your passion, and there's no right time than today. Just go for it. Just go for what you
So,
want to do.
their time starts now, right?
Absolutely. It starts now. No need to wait at all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rohit. It's nice talking to you, and all the best for your all future plans.
Thanks a lot, Alka. Thanks a lot for interviewing me.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.